Oh no, here's one here.
What about mine?
Oh, was it? Whatever's back there. So, anyway, so Dave, at the beginning of the second year, says, hey, I'm leaving real estate. I'm going to go build houses. I was like, okay. And this is right at the beginning of, the foreclosure crisis was happening. I had hosted a real estate investor group as part of my lead generation strategy. And I had a girl who came to me and she said, I'm going to go to dental school in Canada, and I own 2 homes in San Jose. I live in one of them, and I rent rooms out in the one, and I also rent out the other one. And they're both upside down. And she said, can you help me? And I said, well, I don't know, but I haven't done a short sale before, but I'll figure it out. And in that other business I had actually taken a property back in foreclosure, so I had some experience with it. And but that principle number 1 of adding value, I was like, okay, how can I add value to her? So I really studied on short sales, and then I got the first 2 short sales done. Got the first one done in like 4 weeks, and the second one done in 6 weeks. And if any of you guys were around in those days, you remember they took a long time to close. So the title company calls me and says, hey, what are you doing? Because we're starting to see these short sales. We haven't seen them since the 90s, the last recession, but we're starting to see them stack up in our office. And agents are pulling their hair out. They're taking forever to get them done, and you got these 2 done very quickly. Would you be willing to teach a class on short sales to other agents? So I said, okay. So I did that, again, adding value. And I did a class just like this, and stood in the front of the room, and at the end of the class, I had 50 agents come to me, saying, hey, I've got one of these coming up. I'll work with the homeowner, you work with the bank, and we'll get them done. So that kind of became the genesis of my first business in real estate. We started a short sale processing company. I was working as an agent. And, but just a diligent student of the business. So, number 1, add value. Number 2, be a student of the business. I like to say, I don't need to be the smartest kid in class. I just need to sit next to them and take really good notes. In school, they call that cheating. In life, they call that modeling. Okay. So, so I did, and I went to every KW event, MAPS. I went to Mega Camp. KW was a great place for me to learn and grow. But ultimately, if I step back and look, because what I've been able to do, our trajectory of growth, I went from being the solo agent. My second year in the business, my first year in the business, I was working sphere of influence and open houses. My second year in the business, or the end of my first year, was really focused on mastering the buyer side. And as soon as the transaction volume started to get, as soon as you get over about 1.5, a little more than 1 deal a month, you're going to need support. Okay. So the framework in which I could put all the principles of success together in one place, and if those of you have a pen, you might want to write this down. We use an acronym called CLASS. CLASS. Because we're in a class to learn the secrets of success, and this is it. The C stands for culture. And culture, you want to be in an environment of growth and learning. KW is amazing for that. It's one of the things that I loved about KW and I really resonated with. But for us, as I've continued to build my team and the culture of my company, there's a few key things in that culture. Number 1 is growth mindset. Gwen gave a great example of what growth mindset is. She had her amazing success that she had as an architect and then as a fashion designer, and then it all collapsed. And you never know how and why life is going to make those collapses happen. But what are you going to do from it? Are you going to learn from it, and are you going to come back from it? The growth mindset says there is no losing. There's only winning and learning. There's just winning and learning. Okay? So that's the first thing, the growth mindset. The second mindset you want to adopt is an entrepreneur's mindset. Gwen is a great example. She's naturally wired that way. But here's what my coach in my second year in the business told, one of my coaches, my second year in the business told me. He said, Brett, most agents suffer from something called EID. Like, EID, what's that? He's like, it's entrepreneurial idiot disease. Because 80% of real estate is like $30 to $35 an hour work. And if you want to do higher levels of business, you're never going to be able to do it if you're spending 80% of your time on signs, flyers, lock boxes, disclosures, all of this little minutia. So don't be afraid to invest in support. And by the way, this acronym CLASS, C-L-A-S-S, it also correlates, like you or I were to study success, go to any good real estate office anywhere in the country, and we were to get the credit card statement from the top 5 agents in the office, they're gonna spend money on 4 things. Coaching, leads and marketing, accountability usually comes through coaching, systems, they've got a great CRM, they've got some good technology, and then support, administrative support, which is what we're trying to do when we're adding leverage to our business, so we can focus on the 20%. The 20%, the only things that really matter, that move the needle in your business, is something I'll call plant, P-L-A-N-T. That's prospect, it's like new business generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating, and training. And Gwen's scorecard that she showed up here on her thing, those little 5 things that the agents are focused on is that, right? Yeah. So, so culture of growth and learning, you want to have the entrepreneur's mindset, not a salesperson's mindset. You are a salesperson. And then the third mindset is that mindset of prospecting and lead generation. Gary Keller says, you know, the first business you're in is the lead generation business. The second business you're in is real estate, because if you don't have any leads, you're out of business. And for me, that when I came to Keller Williams, it really resonated with me because I owned a couple businesses, and all the success that I was able to generate was because I was focused on marketing, I was focused on lead generation. So it really made sense to me. So that's the thing about culture, which leads us to the L, which is all about leads. You really have to focus on lead generation, and either you're going to do it yourself, or you're going to join a team that's going to have you do some of that, and they're also usually going to provide you some leads as well. But you got to figure out a plan or a strategy to do that. I can tell you the core 4 lead sources that have helped us scale to go from, you know, I was an agent and did 10 deals to close to 1,000 transactions now. The core 4 are sphere of influence. Number 2 is open houses. Those are the 2 that most agents usually have. You can get to this part of the roadmap pretty good with just sphere of influence and open houses. To get to the higher levels, you're going to need to add other types of lead generation. For us, it was high quality online was number 3, and that could be Zillow, HomeLight, OpCity, Ojo. These are all really good high quality online lead sources. Do Facebook and PPC leads work? Yes. They're database fillers more than anything though, because the average like PPC or Facebook generated lead, they take about a year to convert, and the ones that will be ready, that are at the top of the funnel, it might be like 0.5% if you're lucky. So they're not that they're not good, it takes them a long time to develop. So that's, we think about leads. So we talked about SOI, open houses, high quality online, and the last is farming. Gwen, if you saw her, one of the things that's still working now in this market, and right now I think direct mail is great because a lot of agents are pulling back on their pocketbooks. But the I have a buyer. You know, if you saw that one flyer, it said, what was it, something impregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be farming. You know, Lex Orozco is part of my group. I don't know if you guys have heard or seen of Lex. He's a huge farmer. Why does he do a ton of business? It comes back to the basic principle. Gary Keller says it. The size of your business is directly related to the number of people that know you're in business. Every month, 70,000 people are reminded that he's in business. And so he's picking up, you know, that volume of business. So that is, let's see, that's the direct mail and farming. Also, we call it event-based farming, farming around your listing. So the combination of doing at least 300 just listed, 300 pending sales, and then we don't do just sold for that third touch when we farm around the listing. We do, and I have a lot of them. Hey, we just sold this home over Main Street.
录像啊
5 families that are
every 15 minutes.
neighborhood.
Are you gonna go? Every 15 minutes
So
to
those,
cut off the jacket job.
Those are the ones that are working now. So that's accountability. Accountability is super, super important. And again, like I come back and all these things I keep crediting back to Gary Keller because he was so instrumental in my success. A good quote from Gary was that if you're giving it all you've got and you're not getting to where you want to go, you're missing something. It could be a perspective, it could be a relationship. Because the most successful people don't let their own willpower determine their success. The most successful people don't let their own willpower determine their success. There's a reason why if you're on a sports team, we think about swimming as a solo sport. But Michael Phelps, right, we forget that he was part of a team. But being part of that team, waking up at 4 a.m. and swimming those split times and having, his teammates in the parallel lanes next to him, stretching and pushing, that's what helped him go to the next level. So an environment where you have people who are pushing and stretching and growing, environment stronger than willpower. So having that accountability is super important. Accountability is really that bridge, right, between your goals and your success. Because the only thing between you and your goals is usually some mindset and some action. That'll get you to where you want to go. So that's A, is accountability. The fourth S is systems. So you need good systems. KW has Command here. That's a great CRM. I often get asked, what CRM do you use and what's the best CRM? The best CRM is the one that you use. We have been inside Boomtown for 10 years, migrating away to it probably shortly here to follow a boss. But we stuck in it. We found one that we knew that other top producing teams were using and having good success with, and that's what it is. But you want to get people into your database and communicate and market to them every single day. For us, that includes the digital newsletter every month, right? As well as you still want to do print mail to your sphere of influence. Don't put them just on digital campaigns, because people delete or don't even get 80% of their emails. So you want to have some other physical touch that gets in front of them. For us to create that 33 touch, we do 4 client events per year that we host for all of our agents and partners. And so they can piggyback. They don't have to bear the production cost of those events, but those are great opportunities for you to get face-to-face with your clients. So that's systems. The other system that we use, I'm trying to think, it's pretty instrumental for us, is something called SISU. And it's really just to visualize your productivity, and like you can look at on a dashboard and see how you're tracking to your goals. So those are the two: having a great CRM and a great productivity tracking system. And then the last piece is support. Support being that principle in my second year in the business, when my one coach told me, hey, most agents suffer from EID. That's what's going to keep you from going to the next level. Which kind of leads to one of the questions someone asked, I think.
Sorry, Brett.
Yeah.
You said the last one was support.
Support.
What was the one before that?
Systems. So having a great CRM, having a great way to track productivity towards your goals. You will need systems for transactional processing or coordinating, but usually whatever brokerage you're at, whether you're KW, I don't know if they still do SkySlope, or what the platform is there, most of the time the brokerage you're at is going to dictate what system you use for transactional systems. But a good CRM and a great productivity tracking system. Support would be, what kind of leverage do you build around it? Gwen's model is very, very similar to ours. So we built, on the transactional side, we built something called client care. So when I was at Keller Williams, most of the time our transaction coordinator was pretty much just like processing the file for compliance. She'd send me emails, hey, you've got a contingency removal due on the 15th, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what I found. If an agent is left to require, or an agent left with the responsibility of managing, oh shoot, I gotta remember to call that person on the 15th to remove the contingency. You have only so much of what I would call rack space, right? It's like how many things that you can track and keep count of in your mind. And when I was coaching agents and helping them go from like this 15 deals a year to 30 deals a year, what would happen is agents would end up babysitting the escrow